Welcome back, everyone. I am the Depressed Eeyore, and this is Middara and Tabletop Simulator. Let's finish things up. Lost Love. Echo staggered back, bleeding from a dozen different wounds. She frantically looked over her shoulder to her Esper, who had been following. The Soul Stitcher lay where it had been struck down. It seemed to stretch, its body warping and distorting. The space behind it twisted in on itself, swallowing the robe with crackling energy and leaving Echo alone inside of the cave. It's over, Echo, Zephyr said, lowering his sword. The Esper isn't here. It can't control you anymore. Echo reached into her satchel, but the effort was too much for her struggling body, and she dropped to her knees, then looked up with glassy eyes. Did I do something wrong, Zephyr? Echo asked with a shaking voice. I'm sorry. I can't help it. All of the things they did to me, to keep me alive for their sick purposes. She curled into a fetal position on the ground, clutching it at her legs. Blood pooled around her, smearing across her clothes. Zephyr dropped to his knees beside her, then pulled out a first aid kit and flipped it open. He rested one hand on her shoulder for a second. Stop moving, he said gently. I'll get this taken care of. Echo began sobbing, shuddering at each gasp of breath. You need to stop moving, Zephyr said again, trying to find places to apply pressure. Damocles advanced on them with no indication of pity in his posture. She still has crimes to answer for, he said in a cold, flat voice. My mother's blood is on her hands. Echo coughed, then spit a fresh mouthful of dark red blood onto the ground in front of her. Zephyr rested his hand on her shoulder. This isn't the time for an interrogation, Damocles, Zephyr said. Wait until I'm finished. Without her Esper, she won't be able to keep herself going. Be patient. We'll find justice for your mother. Damocles moved forward, then picked up one of Echo's daggers from where she dropped them. There's no reason to patch her up. Echo is a murderer, and she deserves to die. Zephyr put down the medical supplies, then rose to his feet, turned his back on Echo, and rested one hand on the hilt of his sword. Wait, he commanded. I understand your desire for revenge, but your dagger is aimed at the wrong throat. Echo isn't the one who killed your mother. No, she's not. Damocles raised his knife a little higher. But Hendrix would never have killed my mother if not for her orders. Look at her, Damocles. She didn't have a choice. Zephyr held up a hand. You saw the way that thing controlled her. Sharon is behind her actions. Sharon is responsible for your mother's death. Whatever his scheme was, it wasn't hers. Damocles hesitated, letting the dagger droop in his hand. I don't see the difference. Killing Echo removes the guilty party and takes a resource away from Sharon. We're nothing to him, Zephyr responded. Echo is his puppet. She's just another victim. If you want to get him back at him, kill the thing controlling her. Help me free her, and we can fight Sharon together. We can kill the real monster behind your mother's death. Just because you have a past with her doesn't mean she's innocent, Damocles argued. She's as innocent as Nightingale, Zephyr spat. When the Maluma takes over Nightingale's body, will you blame her for what it does? Damocles glanced back to Nightingale, who watched him nervously. He scowled one last time at Echo, before dropping the dagger and turning away with a hurried, dismissive gesture. This is bullshit. Zephyr dropped back beside Echo to resume his work. We can banish the creature controlling her, then take her to the royal family. Make them see just how dangerous Sharon can be, even while trapped. Justice made her way over to where Echo had fallen. She made no hostile gesture. Her books stayed closed, and she had no weapons. She frisked Echo until she found the Pontifex piece she had stolen from Zephyr. I'm taking this, Zephyr. I'm sorry, but you shouldn't be carrying it after what you've done. Justice snapped the Pontifex around her neck. Zephyr looked as though he might protest for a moment. Instead, he gave a half-hearted nod. Justice turned away from Zephyr and Echo and looked at Nightingale. I think we should keep these away from you too, Princess. At least for now, wouldn't you say? No, don't let her take it, Maluma screamed in her head. Nightingale visibly recoiled at the thought of losing the piece she had. You keep that piece, and I'll keep this one. If the Maluma does ever... She couldn't even force out the words. If I can't control it anymore, you won't lose both at once. Justice looked at her in silence for a moment, inspecting her. The look Justice gave Nightingale made her feel angry. Nightingale could see that she didn't trust her with the Pontifex piece. Too bad she had no choice, she thought. Then she paused, realizing that the voice was the Maluma's, not hers. Eventually, Justice nodded. Okay, but make sure that... Justice, look out! Zeke shouted and darted for her with his weapon drawn. The Soul Stitcher had risen, his ragged cloak tearing through the space behind Echo. It loomed above Justice and Zephyr, a swirling vortex of energy coming to reclaim its puppet. Within the vortex, Nightingale could briefly make out a throne made of molten, gurgling tar, dotted with pinpricks of light. A figure stirred on the throne, and for a second it seemed to be looking straight at her. No, she yelled, sprinting to catch up with the creature and stop it. Get away! In the last moments of Echo's lucidity, she shoved into the fear, knocking him away with inhuman strength. The man slid and ran into the far wall. Justice peered into the abyss of the Esper's amorphous form above her. She froze as it came crashing down on top of her, swallowing her whole. Justice let out a muffled scream that turned to silence as the Soul Sister opened back up to reveal an empty space where Justice had been standing. Nightingale could see Justice inside of the Soul Sister, frantically clawing to get out. Behind her, a massive figure loomed, strangely no sound penetrating the window. What the hell? Rook gripped his weapon firmly and stepped in front of Nightingale. What did you do to her? Don't worry, Echo said, the madness in her voice returning. Your friend isn't dead, but where she's gone, she may wish she was. Zeke roared with anger, charging in to free Justice. The Soul Stitcher's portal had closed as quickly as it opened, and Zeke ran into the Esper like it wasn't even there. He smacked against the cave wall a second later. Suddenly, the Maluma whirled into existence like it had never done before. Everyone recoiled and pulled weapons out. Nightingale glanced around, realizing that she wasn't the only one who could see the putrid mass. It was visible to everyone. Fool, the Maluma screamed at Echo. Why would you throw her into that creature's lair? She had the Pontifex Peaks with her. It sounded livid, and even Nightingale retreated in surprise. Echo laughed. Me? I didn't send her. The Soul Sister must not have known. Good riddance. I hope Sharon rots for eternity in the suspended tomb. Maybe I'll get the chance to lock you there with your master. Soul Stitcher seemed to realize what it had done and screamed with furious anger. A sharp, high-pitched ringing resonated through the cave. Nightingale tried to cover her ears, but it barely helped at all. Her head pounded in a painful rhythm with the noise. Echo, on the other hand, took joy in the monster's anguish. She laughed even harder than before. You son of a bitch! Good luck getting the Pontifex from the Shadow Lord's lair. A dozen needles suddenly shot from the Soul Stitcher, sticking into Echo at various angles. The Soul Stitcher lifted her off the ground, and her eyes went wide with pain. The creature flew into the air, moving straight for the ceiling of the cave, slashing at the stone with a massive metal hook. With a few cuts, the opening was wide enough to drag Echo along with it, breaking her bones and tearing her flesh as it went. Chunks of broken rock tumbled down below it, along with Echo's blood. Zephyr emerged from the dust of the falling rocks. Echo, I'll save you. With a furious snarl, the Maluma retreated back into Nightingale, its dark essence sucked into her eyes and mouth, leaving everyone around her mortified at the sight. Nightingale froze, completely overwhelmed by the pain as the Maluma forced its way back inside her. She fell to her knees, stunned, choosing to focus only on her breathing. Eventually the pain stopped, and the parasite was gone again. For a moment, everything was eerily silent. Nightingale had hardly noticed that Rook had come to her side. She held up the one Pontifex piece they still had, but its glow was drowned out in the sunlight coming through the opening. Then something moved in the cavern entrance. They heard dirt and rocks being pushed aside as someone crawled through behind them. The group turned, raising their weapons in preparation for whatever horror had come for them next. Nightingale looked and saw Shayless Arson rising from the rubble. Instead of an institute uniform or an elegant dress, she wore sturdy leather, well worn by hard travel. She had a long chain in both hands, which trailed a massive blade from one end and a pair of wickedly barbed hooks from the other. Zeke spun on the newcomer, his weapon drooping a little in his grip. Shayless? He looked around sheepishly. You're supposed to be in the capital. So is my sister, Shayless said, looking down at Nightingale. Yet here we are. Shayless surveyed the damage that Echo had done. What the hell is going on? She asked as she crouched near Nightingale, inspecting her for damage. Nightingale didn't answer. What are you doing here? Flag check. Do we have experience guide? No. An opportune tip. 356. Alright. What am I doing here? Shayless paused. Saving you, apparently. You didn't think someone would notice you were gone. Nightingale blinked, looking up at her sister. Considering her luck over the past few weeks, Nightingale had imagined the intruder would be an army of assassins, or maybe a hideous, bloated monster. To see Shayless standing there, armored, and loaded with adventuring gear was enough of a shock that Nightingale nearly dropped her weapon. The stress of the last few days came crashing down on her in a sudden wave. She'd been trapped alone in the ruins, had Zephyr try to kill her, and had lost justice. Shayless! Nightingale hugged her as hard as she could. When Nightingale finally let go, Shayless stepped back and looked over the others. So, you're the merry band of outlaws who decided it was a good idea to sneak away from Alinea with my sister? It's a good thing you kept her safe, or I'd have to kill you. Rook cleared his throat. How did you get here, Princess Shayless? His tone was quiet and respectful. We're far from civilization for someone to be stumbling into us at random. Random? Shayless laughed and rolled her eyes. You think I tracked you halfway across Carrion Swamps by accident? An old friend of mine showed up in town. With someone who needed to make an appeal to the king. I understand you've all met Patrick. You can imagine how interested I was to know he'd seen you in Ramstead and had a good idea where you were going. Shayless rose to her feet and then helped Nightingale stand as well. I've been tracking you ever since. I don't know what happened here, but you've been through a lot, apparently. Patrick? Nightingale muttered, remembering the man from Ramstead. They had sent him on his way with Aisling. He must have made it to Alinea and told her sister what they were up to. Is he with you? She glanced around, hoping to see his friendly face. No, he's not, Shayless said flatly. We split up in Hyde. We weren't sure where you were going exactly, but it looks like I won the bet. Why are you guys here? Zeke was the first to answer. How about we find our way out of this damn cave first? Finding justice. Same page. They left the cave behind and crossed the swamps, following Shayless's guidance. She knew exactly where she was going, thanks to a map she would consult periodically. Nightingale recounted their travels as they went. That's why we need That's why we need the pieces, Nightingale finished, because when you put all three together, you create the Pontifex, which can unseal the Maluma for me and get it out for good. That makes sense, Shayless nodded. So we have to save this friend of yours, Justice. And get back the piece she was carrying, Rook finished. That's not the only reason to go after her, though, Zeke interrupted. We wouldn't have lived through Gehenna without her. It's our duty to get her out of whatever that was. Unfortunately, I have a guess, Shayless said reluctantly. How is that unfortunate? Zeke exclaimed. That's fantastic. Where is she? You don't understand, Shayless said. You said Shadow Lord, didn't you? She stopped and looked meaningfully at the group. That's what I heard them call it, Damocles answered. Shadow Lords are the sort of thing we tell stories about to keep students from exploring deep ruins. They're more like gods than monsters. Shayless pulled out her map and pointed at a spot just south of the city of Greyhaven. This is the closest known lair. Why is it marked on this map? Rook peered over her shoulder. Doesn't seem like somewhere anyone would want to travel. So that travelers know where not to go, she said. I bet this is where your friend was sent. The next nearest known Shadow Lord is on the other side of Haltis, so cross your fingers. I wish it was closer, Rook muttered. It would take weeks to hike that far. We don't have the supplies. We won't, Shayless grinned, tucking away her map. There's a sky ferry just past the swamps. We'll take it straight over the middle passage to Greyhaven. She turned and set off down the trail again. Light a fire under your asses, and we might even get there before the mosquitoes kill us all. Justice has been thrown into the lair of a Shadow Lord. Mark her as unselectable on the adventure sheet. Hope you didn't want to use Justice, because you're not going to be using her for a while. Alright. All injured party members are no longer injured. I don't think we had anyone injured. New party member. Shayless joins the party. Players must immediately set up Shayless by going through the following steps. UM45. Okay, looks like it grabbed all of them. There was a time where Shayless's cards were all of her stuff was actually missing. So this is Shayless. Magical Persona, Exhaust. Whenever she makes a conviction check, she can re-roll that roll, which is amazing. She has high presence, just like Nightingale. Average lore and agility. Below perception and below average strength. She has the Wretched, which is a Kasari Gamma, and it's amazing. It's Shayless only, so only she can use it, which is a shame because I'm probably not going to use it for for her build. So I guess we haven't really gone too much detail about Kasari Gammas. So there's two sides. There's a range side that's two-handed, that's range 4, and then there's a melee side that's also two-handed. The gimmick is it has a few, each side has a trigger that'll allow it to flip. So the first time, each time you provoke a break attack, you may counter. And when an opponent is defeated with an SOI, you can place an energy token on this card, limit 3. And when making an attack, you can spend those to do extra damage. If you happen to roll a burst, you can exhaust to add a follow-up to this, where if you roll a burst, you can flip. You can move 2 spaces without provoking an attack, flip it, and then attack with the other side. And then on this side, if an opponent moves adjacent to you, you can unexhaust this card, and if you do, flip this card. And then this side is a ranged weapon that can. All Kasari Gauntlets have an exhaust where they can, if you get a burst, you can do a follow-up command. And command is essentially, instead of where push pushes away and pull pulls you towards them, command is 2 spaces in any direction you want. So it gives you a lot of flexibility as far as like throwing people off pits, off cliffs, and things like that. What's also really neat about the Wretched, specifically, is it has every 2 books on the range side will actually put a dangerous terrain token on the ground, so you can just punch holes in the ground beneath people and have them fall in it. Bosses automatically pass this check, but just like with the Earthshaker shield or whatever it's called, you can, if you trap the boss and they can't jump anywhere, then it doesn't matter if it auto passes. In practice, I only managed to get the hole punching to really work a couple of times. Really, the main thing I used the Wretched for was a build that Damocles sort of had, where it was all about just sitting back and doing Sinful Privilege over and over again, and just attacking from really far away, using allies. And of course, every shield is +2 physical damage, so if you had something like Saphir's Dead End, Dead End by itself would do an extra 8 damage, which is just ridiculous. So yeah, that's kind of what I built her for. I just 2-handed weapon with a bunch of stuff that increased her damage and accuracy, and then gave her something that allowed her to swing from a far distance. And then of course her build was of course with the Blood Pact as well, so she would sacrifice HP to make sure she gets the kill. But since that build's already on Damocles, I can't really do that for Shayless. Anyway, we need to actually go over the rest of the stuff. I apologize. Shayless is actually a really cool character. There's also another version of Shayless that's the promo version, which is where she's wearing the dress, and that's a different character. And I think she has her own sub-story with that particular build. Anyway, joins the party with a random core or armor, and then 50 gold. I will choose... I think I should have went cores, but since I'm already in with the armor, I'm going to go ahead and grab armor. So shuffle once. Awesome. Okay, so that got us cloth, which is +1 movement. The only catch, of course, is Shayless only has like 6 movement base, and then the Wretched, it's a heavy weapon, so she will lose mobility. She was not moving anywhere when the first time I used her. All right, Ethereum coat, and then we get 50 gold as well, which will put us at 1045. And of course, we get Shayless Arson, and they'll put her at 43 experience, which I will spend in a second. So it's unfortunate, but I'm not going to be able to use the Wretched, or at least not without respeccing Damocles, and I don't want to respec Damocles. And she can learn any disciplines, blah, blah, blah. And then at this point, I can... it doesn't say anything about setting the active group. We also need to do a flag check for Massacred, which we don't have. Yeah, we don't have Massacred. All right, so we have 43 experience points. And so I'm going to show you the ace build. We won't be able to complete it because we have to go shopping first. But essentially the way you would start it is you would start it with Quick Blow. And then you go straight into False Idol, which allows you to make a melee attack. Then you go straight into Kind of depends on what sort of build you're going. If you're going double longswords, which is what I'm going to do, you go Jack of all blades, because that'll make your longswords become light for both of them. And then we could either do Fist of Polaris, which I haven't tried. Usually with this double sword build, I would go, Brutal Slaughter, but let's see what we can do with this. If an opponent is adjacent to you, move to any adjacent space to that opponent. This does not provoke. Then make an attack against the opponent you have not attacked this turn. So it's essentially a free attack. That's not bad. You know what? I'm going to try Fist of Polaris. I've never tried it. So that essentially gets her an extra swing. So the trick for this, of course, is you need to get adjacent to the opponent. Activate this first, because the key word here is it has to be someone you have not attacked this turn. You can also use it as a way of just spamming a bunch of attacks against everything that's around you. So, alright, so we get all that, and then we also want Ninjutsu. We also want Blade Works. And then start going down this route. We want to get Mage Breaker. And then we want to grab Morbid Envy. Okay. This will make it so one of your swings, if you do want to swing hard, you can. Alright, so let's see what that totals up to. So we're at 3, 8, 15, 24. So that's 24. Let's see, 3, 8, 15, 24. That's 24 there, 31 there. So that's 31, 35, 41. So we won't be able to get Morbid Envy. Not yet. So let's make sure we do this right. So 8, 15, 24, 32. So that's 15 there, 24, 29, 32. Yep, 32. So that puts us at 11. That's for all the subterfuge. And then it's 4 more for Blade Works. So that puts us at 7. And then 6 for Mage Breaker. Leaves her with 1 experience point left. And there you go. So that's going to be her build. So essentially the way this works, of course, is you have the free attacks. So you can go Fist of Polaris for your opener. Quick Blow off of that if you hit. False Idol. And then Quick Blow if you hit with the False Idol. Then you do Blade Works. And then you Quick Blow off the Blade Works if it hits. The Jack of all blades makes it so all your weapons are light. So longswords will get finesse off each other. Also, if the enemy's against obstructing terrain or on the board edge, you can get flanking, so that's a +1 attack. And then the Ninjutsu here is a free dodge and +1 defense. And the idea, of course, is we're going to make her as high a defense as possible so she can just slug it out. Obviously, the armor that we need to get her is going to be the Morbid Leather, because we want to maximize her damage. So her movement's only going to be 6. Her weapons, of course, is going to be fancy swords, and going from there. But we'll deal with... I can give her some gear right now. But more than likely, I'm just going to wait until... I get a chance to move gear around. So we're not going to worry about her right now. Alright. So we do not have Massacred, so it just goes straight to the ferry. It took a couple of days to make it out of Carrion Swamps, but after days of walking, the swamps started to thin. The humidity finally faded, replaced with a refreshing breeze. Soon the docks came into view. Nightingale found herself grinning at the sight of civilization, though there wasn't much to see beyond a single rundown inn called the Rusty Propeller, a few warehouses and a row of sketchy stalls with seedy-looking merchants. "I know you've been stuck in the swamp for a while," Shayla said. "I could smell it as soon as I found you. Take this chance to buy anything you need for the trip to Greyhaven." Pull yourself together, and I'll pick up our tickets. Come find me when you're ready to go." "Yeah." Nightingale was only half listening. She looked up at the flying old-fashioned ship they would be riding in. It looked like a real pirate ship, something she'd always wanted to fly on. "These are real adventurers," she thought as the others walked past her, "and now I'm one of them." And then we go to Story Round, Sky Harbor 359. And that's actually the last page of Chapter 4. So with this, we are at the end of Chapter 4. This shop and train has access to rare items, including a rare unique. So we're going to go ahead and get our rare unique. That gets us access to Angel Plate, which doesn't really have anything too special. The only thing it has is it gives you +1 armor if you had... It will give you +1 armor if your weapons didn't provide you armor. So if you didn't have shield or a saber or something along those lines. So definitely not something we need. Obviously, the things we want, we need to get Shayla's geared up. So, Soul Blades. We're going to need 2 Soul Blades. Like this. Soul Blades are 165 gold each. They are blues. And so their finesse, rather than upgrading, because there's nothing higher than blue dice, is they give +1 attack. And since all one-handed weapons are treated as light thanks to Jack of all Blades, having both these swords gives you a total of +2 attack. Which there's not very many things in this game that give you +2 attack. With +2 attack in blues, the minimum roll you can get on a blue is 5. So on 2 blue dice, that's 10. So the minimum roll you can get with this, with no other modifiers, is 12. So you always will hit at least a minimum of 12 if you roll super bad like I do. If that thing happens to have Nemesis, then the lowest you'll be rolling is 13, which was the defense of most of the things we were fighting. The highest defense thing we fought, I believe, had 14. So that means if it had Nemesis and we were flanking it using maybe Jack of all Blades, then I can't miss the attack. Also, since I'm comboing with a longsword, the burst will do +5 damage instead of +4, and every 2 shields will, of course, do +3 physical. And of course, we want to make sure she gets, maximum courage and all that good stuff. So yeah, we need to buy 2 of these. This will cost us 330 gold. So that'll put us at 715. Let's go ahead and look through our stash. What do we have as far as... Do we have any monster loot? No, we have no monster loot. Or at least not in the stash anyway. We do have a Poppet. We do have a Scryer Eye. Oh, I forgot to get items from the previous battle. I should have gotten 2 items each. So we're gonna do. I got that. We want as many rerolls as possible, and of course these rerolls are gonna go to Shayla's. Okay. All right. So we do have. We're gonna trade in a Scrying Eye. So monster loot can be traded for a number of things. You can get 25 gold, you can unlock an upgrade, or you can get an upgrade, even one that's not been unlocked. So I'm going to use a Scrying Eye to go ahead and get Otherworldly on one of the swords. And call that good for now. I'm going to trade the Morbid Leather out. Give her the Ethereum Cloak. That's fine. She can have that. We need to get her a core. And I'm thinking Homemade Brooch. Because that'll guarantee her haste. Her accessory is going to be the Halo. Get her Homemade Brooch. When you're dealt magic damage, roll, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, there's a lot of good things in here. So we got at least all that for right now. I'm trying to think what else. I mean, this gets her the base gear at least. I definitely want her to get another upgrade. I want to get Masterwork unlocked if I can, but I need to make sure I have the money. I think we're gonna have to keep Rook around. Yeah, we want to go ahead and give her Velos Chalice at the very least. And then I need to give her a bunch of dodges. And or possible immunities. So I'm thinking Lorelei's Tainted Gift. That'll give her at least give her a chance at 1 in 6 chance to take no damage from magic. If she does get hit with magic. So let's spend 160 gold on that. I'll put us at 555. Like so. There we go. So I'll give her another dodge. Oh, I know what I was going to get her. Doombreak. Costs 35 gold. So, exhaust at any time to get 1 stamina. When you're using this ability, roll the black die. If a skull is rolled, you flip the card. So it becomes useless afterwards. Okay, so 35 gold for that. So that'll put us at 520. But I'll put us in a pretty nice spot. We got the Badman's Book of Baddies, but I don't think I'm going to be using that anymore. Who wants that? We'll probably give it to Zephyr or something. Actually, we can just put her up here for now. Alright. I am going to go ahead and buy the other Doombreak. It's 35 gold. So that should put us at 485. Okay, so Doombreaks all set. We need to get our new bow, the Subjugator. This bow, there is a unique bow at rare tier, the Hard Drum's Lost Bow. But the only ability that thing has, I mean, it has better dice, as 2 blues, and it gets energy tokens whenever you deal, whenever you're dealt damage from an attack, and you can use it to essentially attack back at the thing that damaged you before. But really, honestly, I think the non-unique weapon is better. The Subjugator. So the Subjugator is gray and blue, which is not as great. But it has an exhaust ability where if anything is 5 or less HP remaining, you make an attack against that opponent, and if it hits, it kills them. So it's great for finishing off targets. Also, it's an attack, which means you can quick blow off of it. So it's a free attack you can quick blow off of to finish off something. It also, that instant death thing actually has a very key component in what's coming in the future, which I'll show off when that comes. So we'll go ahead and buy this, which will cost us 265 gold. Putting us at 220. Leaving us with a cave bow and the Subjugator. I want to buy a core. We're going to buy a God Machine, which will cost us 220. Faith not required. So it's a counter core, but the reason why I want it is not for the counter, but for the exhaust for 3 movement that has flight. So 220 gold puts us at exactly 0. So that'll put us at that. Okay. All right, now we need to clean house here. So there's a few things. Find everything that we can possibly sell, which honestly is not much left. I want to get rid of the mercenary halberd. Edge console's actually kind of decent. I don't need the barbed arrows anymore. So let me grab my book, because that has the table. It's nice having the book now, because now I can just flip to the back without having to open a bunch of tabs. So this is uncommon tier? Yes, it is. Uncommon. Selling an uncommon item is 20 gold. And then each of these are common tier, which are 10 each. So that's 40 gold there. The upgrade cost for a rare item, by the way, is 75. So, yeah. It's a bit expensive. But the main thing I'm trying to get is I need to try to at least get enough gold so I can upgrade the bow. If I need to, I can always put something back temporarily and just buy it later. But I'm trying to make do with what I got. Oh, I forgot. I have a Corpse Lotus. So a Corpse Lotus I can sell for 200 gold during the shop and train phase. This will get us 200 gold, putting us at 240. Alright, so we're back up to 240, which is amazing. I'm going to spend 75. So that's going to put us at 165. And use that to buy Otherworldly. And put that on the bow. I am going to go ahead and sell the cave bow, which will get us 20 gold and just free up Otherworldly. So we get 20 gold back with that. Putting us at 185. I'm going to go ahead and trade in the Poppet to unlock Masterwork. So now we have Masterwork. You can exhaust to get +1 to the attack roll. I'm going to go ahead and use that to go ahead and put that on the other sword for another 75 gold, putting us at 110. And I'm going to go ahead and do the same for Nightingale for another 75 gold. So I'll put us at 35 gold left. Okay. So there you go. So everything here is, at this point, a lot of our damage is going to be coming from hitting multiple times with Courage active. If we don't have Courage active, we do a lot less damage, just overall. Also, one thing I can do, it's going to depend on how much experience I have in the future. If I don't get instead of going Morbid Envy, I could also, since she does have rank 4 Subterfuge, I could go Murder Circus with her as well for an additional 4 purples. The only trade-off, of course, is it's only going to apply. It'll only apply for one encounter, but I might still do it because Morbid Envy will only work if you spend 1 stamina, which is a bit expensive because 1 stamina is a quick blow. All right, so at this point, this is what our builds are looking like. Of course, we're going to keep the quiver on her. She's got this. At this point, since we're in rare tier, I am going to be considering unlocking other things, mainly Refined, which will make it so you ignore the first burst symbol against you, and then Scrying to increase your conviction checks, or maybe Enchanted, make it so you reroll conviction, and then of course there's Sentient, but whatever. All right, So that is what we're looking at right now. As for what the team is looking like, I'm trying to think what sort of setup I want. I think I'm going to drop Remy. For now. I think that's going to be the trade-off. If I'm going to be dropping Remy for a bit, I think I'm going to go Ethereum Cloak on Zeke. And then Seed of Rebirth can go on somebody else to make sure somebody can self-res. Probably on Nightingale, maybe. Definitely needs to be on someone that doesn't have a res. I'll probably go on Zeke then. Okay. Any and all rerolls are going to be going on our attackers to make sure we have opportunities to reroll any possible misses. So as you can guess, like I said, the entire goal here is to maximize our chances of hitting and never ever miss. Missing means not only do we lose courage, but there's a lot of enemies that do nasty things like counter when you miss. So we're gonna make every effort to make sure we do not miss. That's the trade-off. Remy, where's your bag? Remy, where's your bag? That's Rook's. That's Zeke's. Well, we'll get you a bag then. All right. This does mean we need to give pagers out to somebody else. We'll give them to Zeke. Actually, we'll put him on Rook. Here you go, Rook. So yeah. It was a bit costly because we, of course, can't use the Wretched. I mean, we could, but it's not the build we want. This is the build we want. All right. So we'll put Remy. We're going to put Remy in the sidelines. At this point in the game, summoning is still decent, but it's a lot of maintenance and a lot of work to get the damage output that, honestly, you can get more damage out from Shayless, or from the Shayless build I'm doing. You can very easily, if you have, maxed out, haste and all that good stuff and got, courage up and you're just swinging and hitting as many opportunities as you can, you will do some significant damage. Like I mentioned, usually the build I did was not Fist of Polaris. I did Brutal Slaughter. But Fist of Polaris, this might be actually a better one, a better idea, because it essentially gets you an extra attack, which is a lot better than just an extra 6 damage. So I definitely agree with some of the people's feedback on that. I mean, it's supposed to be designed to attack a bunch of times against multiple opponents, but you can use it as your opener for just a single opponent. So it does still have its uses, even against bosses. We do need to get you an accessory if we can. Also, we're in a bad place because accessories are kind of at a premium right now. So you can have a cloak for now, I guess. Have fun. Alright, so that's what it's going to look like for now. Make sure you don't drop this. No, get in there. No, get in there. That is not getting in there. There you go. Alright. Say hello to Shayless. Well, first, let's shrink her down a bit. That look about right? I think that looks about right. Yeah, that looks about right. Yep. Alright, cool. Say hello to Shayless. Alright. I don't know why hers is bigger, but it is. Alright, and let's grab all of her stuff and see what this looks like. So otherworldly on 1, so make sure we get the benefits of shield books. I mean, you can kind of go without books, but if you are empowering, you still kind of need everything. She's going to always have haste active, and she's going to be immune to disease and wilt, so she can never lose haste. And then she's always going to have blue conviction and a teal die. She has a way of giving herself conviction, but it's only once per round. She has 2 dodges and a reroll for a dodge. Her defense is 13 from the brooch, 14 from the halo, and then 15 from Ninjutsu. It's pretty much the highest defense you can get, short of throwing that all together and then summoning an Esper and doing Friends with Benefits, which is quite the investment. Alright, so Blade Works. Let's go. We'll put it in order. We want Fist of Polaris, go to Blade Works, go to False Idol. If we hit anything that's a caster, we'll Mage Breaker it. If we get attacked, we dodge, and then a quick blow off of anything that hits. And then, of course, we've got a dodge with Lorelei's Tainted Gift. We will use Doom Break to get stamina. You can do this at any time, so that means you can do it at the start of the round, of the very first round. So with Haste and Doom Break, you can start with 5 stamina. And then, of course, all these Bottle Blessings and things like that are not only just to prevent the misses from happening, but also to prevent the skull from being rolled too early with the Doom Break. So yeah, it's I put a lot of work into this. I mean, originally this build was designed to fight Aisling. Obviously not with rare gear and all that, but essentially the startup for it. The startup for it would have been Blade Works, False Idol, Quick Blow, Jack of all Blades, and yeah, I think it would just be those at that point in the game. Which kind of works well if you happen to be putting it on Remy. Alright. And yeah, that's everything. She's, so essentially she's going to be rolling 2 blues. Oops, sorry. Getting +2 to that roll. +3 if it happens to be flanking. And then you will automatically do an additional 2 damage because of combo sword on both of them. And of course, if I need to just ensure the hit, I can always exhaust the Masterwork. Yeah, like I said, this build should hopefully get us through what we need to get through. Or not, you know, I may get just slaughtered. So for right now, at the very least, my turns will hopefully go faster now that I won't be going through... Well, it probably won't go faster, but I won't be going through multiple figures' turns like I did before. So there you go. Alright, so yeah, we got Shayless now. We can add her to the initiative. Oops. That thing is just not working with me. There you go. Alright. So that's pretty much it, at least for this session, because obviously I'm out of money and we'll be progressing. Actually, we do have experience to spend on other characters, so let's go ahead and take care of that real quick. Nightingale's sitting at 4 experience. She can't buy anything. Zeke is sitting at 7. What can he get for 7 experience? So 4, 5, 6. So 7 experience can get him either a level 1 or a level 2 if he wants it. So one thing we can do... Oh, actually, yeah, one thing we can do. Drop Mage Breaker. We don't want Mage Breaker. So this is 6 experience back. Will leave us a 7. What we want instead of Mage Breaker is Forebode. This will cost us 3, 4, 5 experience. Like so. Forebode. Exhaust at any time, reroll any dice except the black die that you rolled or that was rolled against you. So another way of rerolling. Doesn't work with the black die, so I won't save against Doom Break, but that's okay. So there you go. Then what else? So Rook can also buy something, possibly. 3, 4, 5, 6. So I can buy a level 7, or yeah, I can buy a level 1 or a level 2 again. Same situation. Courage, Stifle, Nirvana's Mark. What if I did... That's Forebode. We don't want that. At least not for these characters. When an ally with an SOI would be dealt damage, you or a Loyal Esper are dealt. Neat, but not what we want. Possession's not bad. So this could be used for Loyal Espers to get them to attack again. Or you can spend a stamina and another ally with an SOI makes the attack instead. Which of course you can quick blow off of. So I might do Possession. Possession might be a good one. For Zeke anyway. The other option of course is going tier 2 here. Getting something like Salvation. You may spend intervention tokens as if they were SP. Not useful. Salvation, Soul Clear. So Soul Clear lets you get rid of status effects. I'm going to get Soul Clear for Zeke. Just in case I'm in a situation where I can't get rid of effects. Like I don't have Rook with us. So that's going to cost him 7. So 5, 6, 7. Yeah, that'll cost him 7 experience, but at least it'll cover his bases. So he can remove effects on people. And then for Rook, I can use him to support somebody else with... No, I can't. Nope, I can't. What can I give him instead? Let's take care of this first. 15. Also, if you were using the her unique weapon, she would only have 3 agility because of heavy. All right. I could use Batman's Book of Baddies with Zeke. And just go with that. That would at least let him, that would give him a means to actually remove effects as well. So instead of going Soul Clear, which he still might grab later, you can go ahead and do Possession. So essentially this will allow him to spend a stamina to have somebody else attack for him, which is good because he can't really attack. So I think that works out best. Let's trying to find space for all this nonsense. Too much junk. There we go. All right. So unfortunately, since we lost Justice, that means we don't have access to her gear, which means she actually ran off with the organic clothes, which is actually pretty useful. That's okay. So yeah, if I do need to do any cleansing of debuffs and I don't have Rook with us for whatever reason, I do have the Batman's Book of Baddies as a backup. I was thinking about giving it to Shayless, but honestly, actually, it might be good on Shayless. It might be actually really good on Shayless. It's not something you would do immediately. It'll be something to set up. It would be something I would use to set up a flank. I would just summon Elifie, or anyone really, and just go to town. And that would actually work out pretty well too. So, I mean, you could also just have Zeke do the summon for her. So that would save her stamina, so that works too. Okay, I think I've rambled on long enough. Holy cow, there was a lot to go over. There's still more story we have to go through, but we'll save that for next time. But yeah, this is what our build's gonna look like for now. I'm gonna go ahead and put DM over there, and there you go. I know it's coming, so that's probably why my builds are a little bit more focused. But if things go wrong, it's going to go wrong really quickly, because essentially it's all going to come down to Shayless and Nightingale, the Arson sisters. If they fail in whatever they're supposed to do, all the pain's going to come right for us, because I don't really have a backup plan. At this point in time, Rook is not going to be able to do much damage with Courage Stifle. And if anything's immune to effects, then majority of his abilities are going to become useless. And then, of course, Zeke is really just support guy. So it's going to be all Shayless and Nightingale, and hoping that we do enough to win, which is not a big deal, but it is something to keep in mind. Anyway, I think, like I said, I'm going to go ahead and call it here. I am the Depressed Dior, and this was Middara on Tabletop Simulator. We've just finished Chapter 4. We'll be going to Chapter 5 next time. See ya.